There's an old saying, a fortress rarely falls because of the enemy outside its walls. It falls because someone inside opens the gate. For the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, that man was William O'Neal. He didn't arrive wearing a badge. Didn't announce himself as an FBI informant. He came as a brother, a revolutionary, a man willing to risk everything for the cause. In reality, William O'Neal had already made his choice. After being arrested in Chicago for allegedly impersonating a federal officer and stealing a car, O'Neal was approached by the FBI. He chose to cooperate. His handler was Special Agent Roy Mitchell. His assignment was simple: infiltrate the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, gain their trust, report everything. William O'Neal exceeded every expectation, that rat piece of shit. He didn't merely infiltrate the Panthers. He became indispensable. He attended leadership meetings, handled security, screened new recruits, protected party leaders. Eventually, he rose to become chief of security for the Illinois chapter. Think about the irony. The man entrusted with protecting the Panthers was secretly delivering them to the FBI, to the fucking feds. Every strategy meeting, every new member, every disagreement, every firearm, every location, nothing remains secret. Each report flowed from O'Neal to Roy Mitchell, and from Roy Mitchell to the feds. To Fred Hampton, William O'Neal was family. To the FBI, he was one of the Bureau's most valuable assets. Then came December 3rd, 1969. A San Francisco special agent wrote Hoover that the agent's investigation just found that the Panthers were primarily feeding breakfast to children. Hoover responded with a memo implying that the agent's career prospects depended on his supplying evidence to support Hoover's view that the Black Panther Party was a violent organization seeking to overthrow the government by revolutionary means. The Panthers broke into an FBI office in Pennsylvania. One of the documents that were discovered and released after the break-in was a floor plan of Hampton's apartment that William O'Neal had provided. Another document outlined a deal, FBI broker deal with the U.S. Deputy Attorney General Richard Kleindienst to conceal the FBI's role in Hampton's death and the existence of COINTELPRO. O'Neal was instructed to create a rift between the party and Students for a Democratic Society, whose Chicago headquarters was near that of the Panthers. The feds released a batch of racist cartoons in the Panthers' name, aimed at alienating white activists. It also launched a disinformation program to forestall the formation of the Rainbow Coalition. Hoover demanded that the COINTELPRO personnel investigate the Rainbow Coalition, and I quote, "destroy the Black Panther Party and what it stands for, and eradicate the Serve the People programs." Documents secured by Senate investigators in the early 1970s revealed that the FBI actively encouraged violence between the Panthers and other radical groups. This provoked multiple murders in cities throughout the country. On July 16, 1969, an armed confrontation between party members and the Chicago Police Department resulted in one Black Panther Party member being killed and 6 others arrested on serious charges. Dr. Eleanor Berman, a Cook County toxicologist who examined samples for the Hampton family, testified that 2 separate tests detected barbiturates in Fred Hampton's blood. She stood by those findings under penalty of perjury. The FBI laboratory later tested blood samples and reported it did not detect barbiturates. William O'Neill acknowledged serving Fred Hampton a late-night drink laced with a powerful barbiturate supplied by the FBI before the raid. Mark Clark, just 22 years old, sitting in the front room, answered the door and police immediately shot him. Fred Hampton drugged, sleeping on a mattress in the bedroom with Deborah Johnson, who was 8.5 months pregnant with their child. Officers removed her from the room while Hampton was laying unconscious in the bed. Then the raiding team fired at the head of the south bedroom. Hampton was wounded in the shoulder by the shooting. According to the National Archives and Records Administration, upon that discovery, an officer shot him twice in his head and killed him. The injured Panthers, still in the apartment during the commotion, were right there when the shots were fired. They stated that Fred Hampton never woke up and he was unconscious when they put 2 point-blank rounds into his head. They drug his body into the bedroom doorway and left him in a pool of his own blood.
Roughly the center of the bed, his body coming back like this. His 2 hands were laying over the bed like this, and just off or right below his right hand was a .45 automatic. Just a short way away from his left hand was a shotgun. I didn't know if he was how bad he was injured, so I grabbed him by the left wrist, and I pulled him out onto the door, which had been used as a barricade. I then backed off again.
Party leaders Mark Clark and Fred Hampton were killed in the raid. 4 of the 7 surviving occupants of the apartment were wounded. All were charged with assault and attempted murder.
The officers directed their gunfire at the remaining Panthers who had been sleeping in the north bedroom. This included Ronald Doc Satchel, just 18 years old.
But we spend most of our time working with these programs and helping the people, serving the people. Huey P. Newton, our Minister of Defense, said that the Black Panther Party is an organization like options to be ridden by the people down the path of social revolution. You dig it? That's what it's all about.
Blair Anderson, also 18 years old. Berlina Brewer, who was 17. Brenda Harris, who was 19. Brewer, Satchel, Anderson, and Harris were seriously wounded, beaten and dragged into the street. These are teenagers. They were arrested on charges of aggravated assault and attempted murder of the police officers.
Next thing I remember is someone, I think it was one of the pigs, told us to come out of the room, but there were still shots being fired. Now I didn't know at this time that people were coming through the back door, but I took it that shots were being fired in the back of the house and at the front of the house. And they were all coming through the walls. The walls were nothing but plasterboard. A bullet come through the front of the house and would go all the way out the back. Somebody told us to get out, but I remember we were so afraid the bullets were still coming that we remained on the floor. I heard another pause, and then one of the pigs told us that if we don't come out, he was going to put something in there that would really get him out. The idea came in my mind that they were going to shoot tear gas or something in there. But the next thing I heard was a barrage of shots, real fast. And, we were hit this time. They told me, to get up and walk. And I told them I couldn't. And then I think they hit me or did something. They told me they would kill me if I stayed there. So I kept trying. I managed, to get up. And I made a little hop. I hopped out,
I am taking the word of our policemen over what we understand is supposed to be a version provided by a defense attorney and by the occupants of the apartment.
I was hit 5 times. I was hit 2 times in the stomach, 1 time in the leg, and I was hit grazed each hand. Yeah. This is just a scar. You know, I had to have a section of my colon taken out because of an infection. And I was shot over here.
I expect the general public to recognize the quality of these men's work, and the political consequences can take care of themselves. Of course I don't plan to resign.
Based on available evidence, namely the physical condition of the home and its contents, physical condition of the remains of Fred Hampton, the search warrant was merely a subterfuge, and the mission of the police was to murder and maim.
This blatant act of legitimatized murder strips all credibility from law enforcement.
As an individual, are you convinced that the official version is a lie, that it is a case of murder?
Personally, I am.
Anyone who went through that apartment and examined the evidence that was remaining there could come to only one conclusion. And that is that Fred Hampton, 21 years old and a member of a militant, well-known militant group, was murdered in his bed, probably as he lay asleep. It seems very clear to us that he was assassinated. And the police officer who did that assassination then walked away from it, and said to other people, Bobby Rush is next. Now, all of you who know Bobby Rush know that he is the Minister of Defense of the Black Panther Party and also one of our clients. And all of you also, I assume, know that Bobby Rush's apartment was broken into last night. And also him, he's still alive because he was not in the apartment.
Do you think if you had been in your apartment yesterday, you would have been shot by police?
Yes, I would have been murdered. I still think there's a great possibility of people trying to murder me. All the moves in the past, the mischief was been on the part of the police. They murdered Fred Hampton. Murdered me. It's like they murdered anybody that's black in the country.
Well, that they were Black Panthers?
No, we didn't. We just knew that, or we were informed that there were guns and contraband in the building.
Did you have information that indicated that Fred Hampton might be there?
Not to my knowledge.
You just knew that there were guns and possibility of that these may have been Black Panthers?
All we knew is there were guns in there.
At this point, it appears that the people who are deceased were in the gun battle?
Oh, they were definitely in the gun battle.
I mean, they were firing at police?
Yes, sir. We saw the shots coming out of the 2 bedrooms.
Somebody, when you knocked on the door, what happened?
Well, I didn't actually knock. I heard our officers at the front announce their office and shots fired. So I kicked in the back door, and as soon as the door opened, I could see shots being fired at us at the back door.
Do you have any idea how many shots were fired?
Quite a few. I have no idea.
Do you have any idea over how long a period the gun battle ensued?
It seemed like an hour to me.
Heard the pig say, he's barely alive, he'll barely make it. I assume they were talking about him and Fred. But then, they started shooting the pigs, they started shooting again. I heard the sister scream. They stopped shooting. The pig said, he's good and dead now.
Kathleen Cleaver's story begins before the Black Panther Party. In the disciplined world of student activism in 1966, she left Barnard College to work full-time with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, one of the most important student-led forces in the civil rights movement. That was her first turning point. She wasn't entering history as a spectator. She was entering it as an organizer, a communicator, and a strategist.
This pattern of harassment is going on against the Black Panther Party across the country. On Friday, the Watts office of the Black Panther Party was bombed and demolished. Last week, the Des Moines office was bombed. They can't stop anything we're doing as a legitimate political organization. So they come in and shoot us and shoot tear gas in our office and drag people off to jail like they've lost their minds. Self-interest of the people who are in charge are not those of human beings. They're mainly based on money and power. You see, if these people would move in their self-interest, they wouldn't beat their own children in Chicago and crack their heads. If they moved in their self-interest, they wouldn't send their armed police onto their own college campuses where their own children are studying. They wouldn't do that. So in terms of their own people, they don't move in their own self-interest. So we can be assured that in terms of black people, they will not move in their self-interest. What is important is for black people to move in black people's self-interest and let them do whatever they want.
She became communications secretary and the first woman appointed to the party's central committee, placing her in the inner circle of Black Panther leadership. And the FBI was watching.
Cleaver, do you know where your husband is?
No, I don't know where he is.
When was the last time you saw him?
Sunday night.
Give it any indication at that time of his plans for today?
No.
It's rumored that Ellis is out of the country. Do you think this is possible?
No, I don't think so.
Why not? So Cuba even. Why not?
Speak up, Kathleen.
Well, first place, he hasn't. I saw him on Sunday, and he couldn't have gotten out of the country that quickly. And the second place, that he indicated he had no intention of leaving the country.
You think he's still in San Francisco?
I think he's in the Bay Area.
The National Archives lists FBI records tied directly to Kathleen Cleaver and the Black Panther-related civil rights files, showing that the government tracked her as part of a larger campaign against the movement. A separate oral history source describes how the FBI spread misinformation and used surveillance against the Panthers, deepening the pressure on activists like Cleaver.
We view the campaign as primarily a means of educating and organizing the exploited and colonized masses, black people, brown people, and poor people, and those whites who will struggle to end racism and colonialism rather than a move to get votes.
He was formally charged with 3 charges. 1, possession of a gun. 2, association with people of bad repute. And 3, refusal to cooperate with his parole officer. Now this is only because it requires 3 charges on which to violate it. Now the possession of a gun is something which is yet to be proven in court. This is a charge for the court to decide. The association with people of ill repute, bad character, is clearly a political judgment on the part of the pigs because the people in association with Black Panthers. And the refusal to cooperate with his parole officer is completely groundless. And it's only to isolate him, to prevent him from having visitors, prevent him from having books, prevent him from having contact, prevent him from having dealings with the press, to isolate him, to keep him from dealing with the politics and the people that he was dealing with on the outside.
Cleaver's public role was immense. She shaped the party's message, spoke to the press, and helped define how the Panthers presented themselves to the world.
Well, this on behalf of my husband, I'd like to say thank you very much to the faculty and to the students for this very beautiful and moving tribute to a man that has been persecuted from the regions of California till today by the Supreme Court.
She was not just a symbol. She was a voice that helped the movement forward while the state tried to contain it. They wanted us to watch, she says, so we learned how to be visible on our own terms. Her work went beyond speeches and headlines. The Panthers built survival programs, made sure no one was hungry, medical support, and services for communities ignored by the system. And Cleaver was a part of that broader effort to make revolution practical. The movement was not only about protests, it was about building power where none had been offered. Then came another turning point, Exile. Sources indicate that after facing charges and escalating government pressure, Cleaver left the United States and spent time in Cuba and then Algeria. In 1970, she helped establish the Black Panther International section in Algeria with Eldridge Cleaver. Algeria was not just a place to hide. It was a political base. The Panthers used Algiers as a hub for international revolutionary contact. And Cleaver's life became part of a broader global struggle against colonialism and racial oppression. Exile changed her life, but it didn't erase her role. It transformed the struggle from a national confrontation into an international one. With Cleaver standing at the center of that shift, her years as a Panther were defined by leadership, surveillance, pressure, exile, and reinvention.
For new educational programs which meet a period of crisis, we dedicate ourselves to the cause that your distinctive message and your voice may be heard in future without hindrance in an academic community where no seeker after truth shall be denied.
It's a committee to mobilize public support and put political pressure on the authorities that have revoked Eldridge Cleaver's parole and maintained him in prison as a political prisoner. It's called the International Committee, for it is based in San Francisco, New York, Rome, London, Amsterdam. We have committees in Detroit, and we are planning to mobilize the international support very definitely. The fact that Eldridge's book has been sold and published in Italy, Holland, Paris, London, Germany, possibility of being in Cuba and Japan and other countries across the world will make it natural for us to mobilize the international support around this writer who has been politically imprisoned.
Before there was a TUPAC Shakur, before the music, before the controversy, before the FBI would ever open a file bearing his name, there was a woman the government had already begun watching. Her name was Afeni Shakur. Born at the height of the Jim Crow America, a country where segregation wasn't simply prejudice, it was policy, a place where justice often depended on the color of your skin. Like millions of black families searching for something better, Afeni's family left the South and moved north to New York City, trying to escape Jim Crow. They didn't escape it. In the Bronx in the 1960s, it was defined by poverty, failing schools, unemployment, aggressive policing, and deep racial inequality. For many young black Americans, politics wasn't something discussed in the classrooms. It was lived every day on the streets.
You know, but the lawyers tried to make some motions to have the pigs to move from the courtroom, and the people going in, and the fastest pigs refused to do the real emotions, you know, because they recognize that it is the people's side. The people really want to not be inside by their peer group, you know, because Hogan and military are our peer group, and they have no right to try us. They have no right to accuse us of anything, you know. And I say like, if the people want me to go on trial, I'm ready to stay on trial for the people, you know. I feel like I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything to commit any crimes against the people. And if the people want to put me on trial, I say right on to that.
Before Alice Williams became a revolutionary, life first forced her to become a survivor. While she was still a teenager, a police officer allegedly attempted to sexually assault her. She refused to be a victim. She fought back, slashing the officer across the arm before escaping. Whether remembered as an autobiography or personal testimony, the story reveals something fundamental about her character. She wouldn't surrender. During a domestic dispute, another woman allegedly pulled a handgun and threatened to kill her. Afeni reacted instantly. She knocked the weapon away, struck the woman in the face. While the woman was dazed, Afeni seized a gun and escaped alive. Those who knew her often described the same quality. When confronted with fear, Afeni moved towards it. Then America changed forever. Malcolm X was assassinated. 3 years later, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. For many young Black Americans, those killings marked a turning point. Questions became convictions. Convictions became action. In 1968, Alice Williams joined the Black Panther Party. Soon afterwards, she adopted a new name, Afeni Shakur. Afeni often translated as lover of the people. Shakur, an Arabic surname meaning thankful. It wasn't simply a new name. It represented a new identity and a new purpose. Afeni immersed herself in political education. She studied revolutionary movements, history, and strategic thought, drawing lessons from writers such as Sun Tzu and other military philosophers while helping educate fellow Panthers on discipline, organization, and political consciousness. She became one of the New York chapter's most respected organizers. She recruited members, worked in community outreach, contributed articles to the party newspaper, helped spread the Panthers' message of community self-determination, political education, and resistance to police brutality. She believed people deserve fairness, not privilege, not revenge, fairness. But while Afeni was building a movement, someone else was quietly dismantling it. Inside the FBI headquarters, Director J. Edgar Hoover had declared the Black Panther Party one of the nation's greatest internal threats. Under a covert program known as COINTELPRO, federal authorities used surveillance, informants, forged correspondence, and disruptive tactics to fracture Black political organizations from within. The New York chapter became one of its primary targets. Living under constant surveillance changes the way a person sees the world. Every unfamiliar face becomes a question. Every coincidence, a warning. Among the newest faces inside the New York chapter was a man calling himself Yedwa Sudan. To many Panthers, he seemed fearless, committed, ready for action. But Afeni noticed something others ignored. He was always the loudest voice calling for violence, bombings, explosives, escalation. She warned fellow Panthers. Some dismissed her concerns. Others believed she had become overly suspicious. Then came the raids. On April 1969, police stormed Panther locations across New York City. 21 members of the Black Panther Party were arrested. The newspapers called them terrorists. The government accused them of conspiring to bomb police stations, department stores, and public buildings. The case became known as the Panther 21. The prosecution relied heavily on undercover officers and informants who had infiltrated the organization. Then the truth emerged. Yedwa Sudan never existed. His real name was Detective Ralph White, an undercover officer with the New York Police Department. The man Afeni had warned about, had suspicions about, had been exactly who she suspected. As the trial unfolded, testimony revealed just how deeply undercover operatives had become involved in the alleged conspiracy. Defense lawyers argued that government agents had not merely observed illegal discussions, they had actively encouraged and participated in many of them. Facing decades in prison, Afeni made an extraordinary decision. She dismissed her attorney and represented herself. 24 years old, pregnant, no law degree, no formal legal education. She buried herself in criminal law, studied the evidence, prepared her own cross-examinations, then walked into court and challenged experienced prosecutors on their own ground. Month after month, the government's case began to unravel. spectacularly. Witnesses contradicted one another. The role of undercover officers became impossible to ignore. The sweeping conspiracy prosecutors had promised grew weaker with every passing day. After an 8-month trial, the jury returned not guilty. All 21 defendants were acquitted on the major conspiracy charges. It was one of the most significant courtroom defeats suffered by prosecutors in American history. But victory carried scars. Afeni has spent much of her pregnancy fighting one of the most consequential political prosecutions of her generation. She had lived under surveillance, faced prison, watched friends disappear into exile, prison, or underground movements. On June 16, 1971, only weeks after her acquittal, she gave birth in Harlem. His birth name was Lassane Parish Crooks. 1 year later, she renamed him TUPAC Shakur. After the 8th century Peruvian revolutionary, Tupac Amaru II, who led an indigenous uprising against Spanish colonial rule before being executed. The name reflected Afeni's belief that history mattered and that resistance to oppression should never be forgotten. Tupac was born into a family shaped by political struggle. Many of her friends remained under government scrutiny. Some were in prison, others fled the country. Some would later become connected to the Black Liberation Army, an underground organization that emerged after the decline of the Panthers. For the Shakur family, the conflict between Black revolutionary movements and the U.S. government was not history. It was the world Tupac entered on the day he was born.